I was about to wishlist, then I saw a resource gathering mechanic, Lamau. That shit. Hi guys, welcome back. In this devlog, we'll be reading some comments from our previous devlogs and we'll be reacting to them. Also, by the end of this video, we'll be developing features that you guys have suggested, so stick around. I would love to hear some feedback from you guys. You see, one of my goals is to make Wisplight a game that is community driven. I want you guys to be part of its creation. For those of you who are new here, I'm June, a solo indie game developer from the Philippines, and I'm making a reverse RPG game where you play as a monster instead of the usual RPG game heroes. In our game, you play as a wisp who can transform into different monster types to fight human invaders, exploiting resources from your island home. Let's begin! So we have here from the random meme man. I think you should make the attacks more juicy by using sound effects and camera shake. So yeah, I do agree, but as of the moment, I'm not yet developing the sounds yet. Maybe we'll do some camera shake. But as for the sound effects, we'll do the sound effects once I had a better grasp on how to make a very good system for the sounds. I think I'll be utilizing mixers so that it will be easier for us to balance, and add it also in the settings page where you can adjust the volume for the ambient sound and the music and the background sounds. So we have here from Roscott's 4th. I think one of the biggest changes you can add to improve your combat is impact. When the player or AI strikes and hits a shield, their weapon should recoil off the shield. When a strike hits an opponent that has properly guarded against it, they should be staggered, etc. There are a lot of ways to add impact to your combat. So this is the second video that I made. It's a very old video, and actually right now we added a lot of impact animations for our mercenary group. As of the moment, for the skeleton, we haven't made any animations yet if the skeleton is hit, and we'll be making that in the future. So we have here from Wolfman. Sir, I'm glad I found you and I'm looking forward to your journey through this process. It is so fascinating and inspirational to see folks like yourself move through and learn to do the. You have earned my interest and look forward to your journey through Wisplight. Thank you so much, Wolfman, and I'm honored that I have inspired you, and hopefully this will inspire you to make games also. Welcome to the journey, and feel free to comment down below your thoughts. We will make Wisplight a community-driven game where we collaborate and talk about your thoughts, your ideas on how to make the game better. So we have here from Ninja Go Gaming. Get this guy to 1K subs, and I love how often the devlogs come out. So yeah, so as of the moment, we're around 900 plus subscribers, and we're trying to aim for the 1000 subscriber mark so that we can get this channel monetized. Since one of our goals is to get this channel monetized so that it can help fund Wisplight's assets. So for those of you who are new and wants to support the development of Wisplight, feel free to subscribe to the channel. It really helps a lot with the monetization and funding of Wisplight's assets. So thank you so much for your support. So you have here from Moses Harris Jr. The story is getting pretty good. Would be great if there was an actual enemy type of the people who try to harvest the essence without training, like crazy animalistic enemy type because they lost their mind. I'm planning on making an enemy type faction where their main traits are as what Moses have described, like crazy animalistic because they lost their mind from consuming life essence without training. So it's a different faction, and they live maybe far from the settlements. Maybe they will live in a certain dark forest where they will settle there, and their goal is to harvest life essence from you as a monster, or from the human settlers also. So there'll be a neutral faction that also fights with the human invaders. Thank you, Moses, for your idea. We'll absolutely be implementing this type of faction. So we have here from Yuanius. Cool video, you should make a Patreon. Actually, I just made a Patreon and I announced it from my previous video. Right now, we already have some Patreon subscribers. Thank you so much for supporting. And if you want to support the development of Wisplight, you can help the funding of Wisplight's asset by subscribing to our Patreon page. I'll link it down in the description. Again, thank you so much for the support. We have here from Dawson Destroyer. Setting up Patreon would definitely get some funds for the game. Also, setting up easy access to a form of volunteering could definitely speed up the development. So yeah, so Patreon is already up. And as for volunteering, actually I have one student right now who who's trying to volunteer in creating some assets for the game. He's currently modeling the colossal sword for the armor. He's still new, he's still learning the 3D modeling aspect. Definitely I'll be making a devlog soon in the future once he's complete making that model. So we have here from Epsilon Rose. I haven't followed the rest of your videos, so please forgive me if this is something you've already covered. But it sounded like whether or not the enemy tries to dodge is determined solely by random chance. That sounds like it could get frustrating if a player gets unlucky and an enemy just keeps dodging. Do they have any sort of stamina system, or they lose the ability to dodge or do other things if you press them hard enough? Also, I had a similar question about the rushing mechanic. It sounded like it was controlled entirely by your debuff state, so there's nothing internal stopping them from rushing whenever you get debuffed. So this comment is actually featured on our previous devlog. So yeah, we actually modified the behaviors for the mercenary group where most of their actions are now tied with their stamina. So we made everything that involves the mercenaries from acting or taking action, like dodges and attacking. They are now tied to stamina, and at the same time the rushing mechanic is also tied to stamina. They no longer rush if they have low stamina. So again, thank you so much Epsilon Rose for this observation and your comment. We have here from Sigma Grind 2023. When Patches ran away from the Radan fight, this is where he ended up. Interesting. So this is referring to the church acolytes, since our acolyte here really looks like Patches from Dark Souls. So actually Patches is one of my favorite NPCs since he's so devious. And I've been playing a lot of Dark Souls or From Software games, and I really want to add Patches to our game. So actually I'm planning on making Patches one of the bosses of a faction called the Mountain Bandits, where their lore or their story is they're prisoners from the kingdom who previously were part of the mercenary group, and they wanted to disband or wanted to run away from the church imprisonment, and they formed a rebel group in the mountains, and their goal is to ambush caravans that are transporting goods from human mines to their human settlements. And my idea is to make Patches the leader of that mountain bandit group. So that's my plan for adding Patches as an Easter egg for the game. But I will not be naming him Patches. I will be naming him, I think I'll be naming him Stitches. And you'll encounter him in one of their territories, and you'll fight him as a boss with all his companions. And when he is about to get defeated, he'll try to run away and escape, and have his bandits try and hold you down or attack you while he tries to escape. That's one of the plans I have for the Mountain Bandit faction. We have here from Vaibhav Shiwale. Oh man, this looks so awesome and amazing. Hope you can somehow implement the learning feature so that they can become smarter. And if you left someone and reach back in town, they can share knowledge about the enemy and come more prepared. Yeah, so this is actually a part of the settlement mechanics, where if there are enemies fleeing and they see that there is a settlement nearby, they'll try to flee to the settlement and warn the settlement NPCs that there is an enemy around. And again, it will lead to two events. One event is for the hunt mode, where the enemies from that settlement will try and hunt you down if you are low on health. And the other one is for them to be defensive. So if you're high on health and the enemies fleeing will inform the settlement that there's a monster with high health approaching, they'll try to be on defensive mode and try to patrol around the settlement and be defensive. So we have here from Stellar. I'm an amateur game dev from the Philippines who wants to make a 3D open world game too. I just started watching your devlogs, but I saw you have an actual game and an 11-part devlog series. So seeing your game now, your journey, and how you started, watching tutorials like I am from the same channels no less, is really inspiring and motivating, and makes me want to continue my journey and go even harder to make my dream game too. I'm subscribed and hooked to your journey. Much love, man. Keep it up. Thank you so much, Stellar, for the kind words, and it's an honor to be an inspiration for new game devs. So Stellar, good luck on your game development journey, and don't forget to take some breaks also. The real problem with developing the game solo is to be in frequent risk of getting burnt out. So actually I've been burnt out a lot in developing this game. My game has a very huge scope and it's very complex, especially the AI part. Most of the time I get burnt out from making a game and at the same time making new do devlogs for the game. One important thing that you need to consider when making a game solo is to make sure that your scope is clear and you don't want to add a lot of features, unnecessary features to the game. Just make a solid scope for the game, then stick with it. You can add the other details later on. Don't forget to rest, to rejuvenate, and take a break from time to time. So we have here from M Games. I'm just gonna ask, when are you gonna make a game trailer? Sorry for my bad English skills. So M Games, actually your English is great. We'll make a trailer once the basic game mechanics are functional. So what are these game mechanics? So the entire combat system, we'll be polishing that. The bosses, maybe one boss fight would do. The settlement system, and the dungeon system where you can build and upgrade your dungeon. And one more thing, the skill trees. We need to polish the skill trees, and maybe at least 3 type of monsters where we can play and showcase their skills. So once we have those, maybe we can make a trailer for the game. So I have here from Friendly Yakuza. You got really good at fixing errors and making this game. Did you learn on your own or from courses or so? I just learned from YouTube. I search for YouTube content that tackles the issues or the topics that I'm developing. Sometimes I search Google, and sometimes I ask ChatGPT for some explanations on the syntax that Unity is offering from their page. So basically that's how I learned programming here on Unity. So we have here a comment from David Specialis. Really loving your devlogs, and I would love to see a video on your gameplay loop and what your plan is for the future. So I actually made an entire devlog which explains about the game design or the entire scope of the game. So you can check it out if you want to see the entire scope or the plans or the gameplay mechanics for the game. So we have here from Dendon. It's great to see a dev that gets it. A couple of thoughts. Allow the community to really help you with adding in modding resources for them. As a solo dev, you can get to everything. For example, you probably don't have enough time to diversify the NPCs. People can build those for you, and you can just add them. Probably not easy, but to consider adding a ChatGPT to the NPCs we're seeing in Bannerlord and some Skyrim mod. It's the future for sure, and maybe you can tap into that. It could help your project stand out from the rest. So for one, maybe in the future we'll add modding resources, but as of the moment, I still don't have any idea how to create modding resources to the game. Currently, the main goal is to make a polished demo for the game first before we add the other stuff. Next is number 2, ChatGPT NPCs. So I don't know, maybe this is too complex as of the moment. The focus for now is to polish the game and make a working gameplay demo. So we have here from Noi Jadish. I was about to wishlist, then I saw a resource gathering mechanic. Lamau. That shit. So yeah, the game has a resource gathering mechanic, but it is optional since you'll just be assigning a wisp to gather resources for you. You don't really need to grind the resource gathering. It's an option for the skeleton where you can pick a pickaxe and try to help with the mining. But basically the long-term goal is for you to make a dungeon empire where you can assign wisps to gather these resources or gather resources from the settlements, and the settlements will supply these resources. For example, you will have a settlement in the mountains where you can mine the iron ores for your dungeon. You'll just be assigning wisps there, and the wisps will transform into skeletons, which they will mine the ores for you. And some of the skeletons and ants will deliver the iron ore to your dungeon, and your dungeon will be the main hub for weapons creation or armor creation for yourself and your army. The wisp assigned to your smithy will craft the weapons for you and the armor for you. So basically your focus is just managing your dungeon and fighting. So the resource gathering mechanic is just optional. So again, this game is not for everyone. I acknowledge that there are type of gamers that likes these types of mechanics but dislike these type of mechanics. So I understand your concerns, but again, as for Wisplight, the wisp gathering mechanic is just optional since you have minions that does the resource gathering for you. We have here from Luanius. Here is some feedback for the looks. The lighting is a bit weird. The shadows are too dark. Foliage looks weird too. UI looks bad. Maybe remove the health bar on top of the enemies. I do agree with you on this. There are a lot of feedback lately about the lighting for our game. Let's do this first before we make new features for the camera shakes. We simply can fix this by tweaking our post-processing. Let's make it a bit vibrant to make the colors pop. I also agree with the health bars. Since you already have blood decals for our enemies as indicator for damage, we don't really need the health bars anymore. We'll remove them and only show the health bars for the targeted enemies. I will do a complete revamp of the health bars in the future. For now, let's settle for this change. So we have here from Marco Prioski. I think that camera shake would improve the game much more, like when you get hit. Also, motion blur, maybe when dodging. By the way, amazing devlog. Since camera shake is one of the most requested features that you guys are suggesting, we will do this feature today. Let's first make a camera shake by modifying our cine machine to make it have a noise. Let's set a Perlin noise to randomize the shakes. Let's test it. The shakes looks good. Now, let's link the cine machine to our hit script and let it call a shake camera function for every time we successfully hit an enemy. Let's test it. It's working. Now, the shake seems to be unnoticeable, so let's make a new feature that freezes the frame every time we land a hit. Let's test it. Seems to work, but it feels like it's lagging every time we hit an enemy. So let's change it to, instead of freezing the frame, let's instead slow it down to make a slow motion effect for every time we land hits. Looks great. Now let's apply this slow motion effect when we do finishers. Whoops, too slow. Let's modify it. Now this looks great. Now let's test everything we've made so far. As you can see, with the new lighting enhancement, our game is now more vibrant compared to our previous setting that is bleak and dark. As for our strategy, let's try and defeat the mercenary group using our usual strategy where we prioritize the acolyte first. Let's do this to test if the difficulty changed with our new behaviors. As you can see, it's harder now to beat this group since they now rush at you if you try to kill the acolyte. So prioritizing the acolyte now is more challenging, and hopefully this will lead to new variety of strategies to defeat this group. I also nerfed the acolyte's health as suggested by the community. I also increased the skeleton's health as of the moment, because this group is impossible to beat with our old health stat. I tried to beat the mercenary group 8 times again and again, but the result is always me getting my health to 0. So I decided to do some balancing and buff our skeleton's health. The new chasing behavior for the group really keeps you on your toes. It makes prioritizing the acolyte a hard strategy to pull off since you need to reposition every time you try to attack the acolyte. The camera shakes are subtle, but it looks great. I can feel that the hits have impact and it goes well with the slow-mo effect upon contact. Also, I think that the slow-mo effects for the finishers makes the combat more dramatic and captures the execution animation well. It slows down at the right time and reverts back at the right moment. Now the guards are on flee mode. Let's chase them and wear off their stamina and poise to try our execution slow-mo effect when they are maimed. While we try to wear down this guard's poise and stamina, I would like to take this opportunity to thank my Patreons for supporting the funding for our game's assets. I also would like to thank the community for being super active in the comments below, sharing their insights and feedback, improving our game one devlog at a time. Thank you so much for the support. Now the mercenary guard is maimed and crippled. Let's test the slow-mo finisher. Looks great. Now, let's find the other guard. Making the game's color more vibrant really made the blood on the skeleton pop. Let me know what you think of this new look. Now we have this guard cornered. Let's push our attacks and wear down his stamina so that he will not evade and run more often. Now he's attacking us. This means that he no longer has the stamina to flee, forcing him to be desperate and attack us. Now, let's try to break his poise. Breaking his poise will eventually lead him to stagger or get maimed. Once maimed, he will be open for an execute attack to instantly kill the guard. We still have to watch out for his counters, so we need to step back from time to time and find openings on his attack patterns. Now he's down, let's do a finisher. Looks great! What do you think of our new updates for our combat? Please let me know down in the comments. Also, do me a favor and hit the like button to push this devlog to other viewers out there who might be interested in our game. We're live on Steam by the way, and you can already wishlist us. See you on the next devlog where we continue our reading your comments series. I think we'll be doing the last one for the comments reading, then we'll do a 6-month summary devlog. Till next time.